So qualifying session number 2, setting the grid for race number 2 in the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup, and they're off and rolling now under overcast, cloudy skies here in Adelaide. On the formation lap, we've got 13 of these brilliant GT3 spec Audis and a couple of GT4s to watch out for as well. Yesterday, it was all about the Indonesian driver, Andrew Haryanto. Here he is, just coming through frame now in car 28. It'll be a different grid. We go back to qualifying order from the second session. It puts Yasser Shaheen and Tony Bates on the front row. Bates will be so keen to make amends for yesterday's mistake at turn 5, which cost him any chance of a good result.
Very business-like, Yasser Shaheen, in that interview with Cameron on the grid. So I think he's got the eyes on. As he explained, he well and truly torched a set of Pirellis. They weren't as bad as perhaps we'd first thought. A 720 spin in Q1 coming through turn 8. Really got everybody's attention, including his. But fresh set of tyres for the second qualifying session. 2 15-minute sessions, or 2 20-minute sessions rather, set the grid for the 2 30-minute races. And Shaheen showed the potential that he had given us through the 3 practice sessions on Thursday and took the top spot for this race.
First time we've seen this championship in Australia as it joins the undercard here for the Adelaide 500. Tony Bates getting some heat into his Pirelli tyres. Competition so far this weekend has been excellent. And this is how we'll line them up for their second and final race of the weekend. Yasser Shaheen grabbing that pole for the Jermac Pem local team. Tony Bates on that front row. Andrew Haryanto was so strong off row number 2 yesterday. Haven't seen the best of James Kondouris yet. Burrit Birembaki will start out of the inside of row number 3. He's from Thailand alongside a local driver, Theo Kondouris. Jeffrey Lee, Steve McLaughlin, another local, Sunjing Zhu and Mark Sini round out your top 10. In total, 15 cars, which have been kept in relatively straight and good condition this weekend. All the way back to Cheng Kong Fu and both Adelaide Fong, who will be driving the GT4 cars. Now, the guys further back in the pack actually need to catch up here and get into double file for the rolling start. And it'll be pretty close here, Sean, if we actually get them.
Yeah, Mark Turner's usually pretty solid on his starts, and it's a long train still coming through the circuit. I can't see that they'll give the guys a start this time around. That's not good. They've been told about this beforehand.
So watch for the red lights. If the lights go out, the race will begin. Will they wave this one off, or will they let them go? Looks like we're racing here in Adelaide. Birembaki goes to the inside and picks off Haryanto as well. No, he does get Kondouris though. And then he runs it wide and over the curb, so Birembaki coming in hot. Haryanto will slot into 3rd. James Kondouris under fire in the 44. Bouncing our way down along towards turn 4, and it's the KFC entry of Tony Bates, who swings into the lead. Didn't get to lead yesterday's race. He's very quick around the streets of Adelaide. Has been in every single car he's driven here in the past. Looking to make amends for yesterday. He assumes the lead here.
Of course, tyre temperature will play a big part. Shaheen now has another look down the inside. Needs to be very careful there. We've seen a little bit too much contact. Batesy got a little bit wide. That's probably opened the door. And how about Haryanto? He has been stunning since the first practice session.
Now, Bates will need to drop back in, but he'll have another car there if he's not careful. Does Haryanto give him the room? We're right on board with Bates through the scariest corner of the track. And that was good heads-up driving from Andrew Haryanto. Knew that he had to give Tony Bates some room, or there could have been carnage at turn 8. They sort it all out by the time they get to the hairpin under the gum trees at turn 9. Exciting start to the second race of the Audis.
Great start by Sunjing Zhu in that all-blue entry, just ahead of Jeffrey Lee, the man with 69 starts under his belt. The 2 Kondouris brothers immediately ahead of them. Steve McLaughlin dropping a little bit back now to position number 8. Mark Sini and Mark Williamson in the CTVS Races entry. Coming out of retirement, hasn't raced since 2011 in Macau, to rejoin the Absolute Racing team here this weekend.
Yasser Shaheen made the most of his opportunity at turn 7 and leads the first lap. Tony Bates slots back to 2nd.
We talk about how good Haryanto's been in a big way because of the fact the guys in front of him have so many starts here at the Adelaide Parkbank circuit. He is an absolute rookie. His first laps were in practice on Thursday. Found the limit a couple of times, managed to have a couple of lurid spins, keep it off the wall, but has not been fazed nor intimidated by this exciting Adelaide street circuit since he jumped in the car for the first time. And he has been a real sensation, and of course took that victory in round 1 of the 2018 season. And what a prize that'll be. If he can back up this weekend, or this race, take the victory, he will get himself an automatic entry to the 2019 Spa 24-hour race as one of 4 drivers in a factory Audi entry.
That is a serious prize up for grabs. As now Haryanto pours the pressure onto Tony Bates. They're actually equal on points for the weekend at the moment, Shaheen and Haryanto. So Haryanto will be keen to get that one more spot and put it out of doubt.
Shaheen, very impressive, up by almost 2 seconds now on this battle for second between Bates and Haryanto. I think Haryanto's keen to try and find a way past Tony, but he said to me just before this race, he said, you'll see a very different Tony Bates behind the wheel today. I'm not messing around. I want to take back that victory. Of course, up until yesterday's race, his last 4 races had netted 4 victories to the man from Victoria.
It's usually bulletproof, particularly on street circuits. Very much here. Here's a bit of play action for position number 3. Theo Kandura shows the nose of the Superbarn Audi. His intention's very clear, but Haryanto did not blink down at turn 4. They resume in their positions. James Kandura's now tucked in behind his brother with Burrit Birambakti and Sun Jin Zhu in this battle as well. They're all scrapping over the last spot on the podium.
We've talked a lot about Andrew Haryanto and how good he has been with that victory yesterday, but of course Burrit Birambakti, the 59 car, the third of these cars in line, immediately ahead of the all-blue Sun Jin Zhu entry, is the reigning Audi R8 LMS Cup and Cup champion, the Thai driver. Relatively inexperienced in GT competition, only been competing for 3 or 4 years, a lot of that competition at home in the Thailand Super Series. Stepped into the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup in 2017 and took that AM Cup victory. Didn't complete a full season, so he's still very much a rookie behind the wheel of an Audi R8. But how good is this championship? How consistent, how close are all of these drivers? And he's right in the battle.
It's a frantic opening 3 laps to the second and final race on the streets of Adelaide. Looked like potentially one moment we might not get a start as we check out the replays of the start sequence here, but they just managed to pull it together in time. How deep did Kanduras go under brakes as he passed his brother down towards turn 1? Birambakti also went late under brakes and ran wide.
This is on board with Haryanto. See from the second row, started P3. Just moved across enough to keep the Kanduras brothers off. Theo, in fact, looked like he might have locked the brake. See that 30-kilo sign on the right side of the windscreen? He's got that success ballast as virtue of winning the race yesterday. It's a beautiful slow-mo move. The camera, you can see, not so beautiful for Burrit Birambakti. Very stadium truck-esque. Doesn't want to do too much of that, but the Audis, again, we've talked about this a number of times, good curb compliance, and he was able to gather it all back up and jump back in line.
So Bates ran it high over the curbs.
Oh, this is on.
And this is exactly how the lead swapped.
Yep.
So Haryanto was really kind here to Tony Bates, was thinking about a move at turn 8. That is just not the place to do it. That is 200 kilometres per hour. He had to slot back in behind him. From Bates' point of view, what a bad exit, left himself vulnerable.
Yeah, and that's all Yasser Shaheen needed. We've seen his pace this weekend from opening practice has been very, very good. He's improved with almost every run. Of course, that double spin in Q1, he backed that up in pole position for race 2 to start this race. So he leads the gap out to a second. Well, it's been closed down to a second. Haryanto now 2.3 back. So he's dropped back off the tail of Tony Bates and is going to come under fire from the Kanduras brothers, led by Theo in the 69 entry on screen here. Ahead of James Kanduras and Burrit Birambakti right on their tail, still doing a very, very good job.
James Kanduras' pace during the practice sessions is really impressive. It's almost surprising that we've not seen him actually in the top 2 spots in the races this weekend. Was due to start on the front row for race 1, but got a 2-place grid penalty for a practice incident with Yasser Shaheen, which has put his weekend on the back foot straight away. Shaheen setting the quickest opening sector here of this lap, lap number 5, and extending that lead over Tony Bates to be 1.4 seconds.
I'm keeping a close eye on this battle between the man on screen, Sun Jin Zhu, and the man immediately behind him, Jeffrey Lee, in the Audi career entry. Audi Taiwan entry, rather. They made contact yesterday, battling for position. These two guys battled hard during the 2017 Cup season, and they will be hoping to be able to complete this one. Jeffrey Lee, during qualifying yesterday, a veteran of this series, the most starts of any driver in the field, a 2-time AM Cup champion in this event over the 6 prior seasons. He was really hard hard in qualifying two. Got himself up to position 5 at one stage before we completed that 20-minute session. He really did do a great job, so he'd like to complete this. He's enjoying the circuit. He was a little freaked out in the first session, admitting that in the bright sunshine, which of course we're used to in Asia, but the shadows cast across the circuit, he said it really threw him out. Since that point, though, he's been very, very competitive. So Yasser Shahin, Tony Bates, Andrew Haryanto, Theo Kanduris, James Kanduris, Birambaki position 6, Sunjing Zhu position 7 from Jeffrey Lee, Steve McLaughlin, Mark Seaney, Mark Williamson and Daniel Bilski, the 2 Australians back a little bit further than we would have expected. Yang Ji very new to this series. Then it's Adelaide Fong and Frankie Chung in the 2 GT4 entries. We spoke a little bit about this during the course of the weekend. The Cup over the previous 6 seasons has been very much a Pro-Am style series. Here are the 2 GT4 cars on screen. That is Adelaide Fong in the lead car, Frankie Chung in the second. Adelaide is in fact the 2013 Cup champion for the Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup. Frankie Chung, a multiple winner, 4-time winner, a former DTM and Le Mans driver. Of course, a lot of experience between these two in the Cup. They are running as part of a feature race with the GT4s this weekend. The full GT4 championship in the Cup will not begin until Nürburgring, the second event of the season, as Frankie now goes up the inside. I think Adelaide wants somebody to play with. Of course, Adelaide Fong has been in America in the last couple of seasons in the Pirelli World Challenge and is an outright winner at Road America, so a very experienced campaigner. Also tested a Sauber F1 car at one stage, and there was some hope that he may be one of the first Hong Kong drivers into F1. Didn't quite happen, but a very competitive driver. They're also here because the 2018 Cup Series is very much a bronze-rated driver championship, whereas in the past it has been a Pro-Am. We've had drivers like Alex Young, who has experience in Australia, former teammate to Mark Webber in F1, and of course he's a 3-time Cup champion. They're not involved in the series anymore outside of a mentoring role. So it is very much about the privateer entries, the bronze FIA-rated drivers, or the gentleman drivers as we call them, and they will be advised and mentored by these experienced campaigners. What better way to mentor someone around a circuit you've never seen before than jump behind the wheel of the GT4 and work out how that circuit works. The other thing with the Cup this year is it's open data policy. So whatever car is running data, as Sunjing's, it's all come undone again, unfortunately. They can compare data to improve the times of the other drivers. That's not good. Let's hope he can get going again and carry on.
Pretty easy to see where he has been over that curb and backwards into the Cooper's tyre wall.
Let's take a look. Did he go in too hard, or Jeffrey? Oh, Jeffrey's just tagged the back of him. So these two have come together again like magnets. They found each other again in season 2018, as they did in 2017 on a number of occasions. And for two absolute racing drivers, that is contact. Now, hopefully, Sunjing Zhu can recover that vehicle, get it started, and return to pit lane. Otherwise, we may well be under safety car. Nothing like that at the moment as Tony Bates starts to reel in pole sitter Yasser Shahin. Haryanto dropping a little bit further back. James Kanduris, the man who set the place alight. There's damage to the right rear. That's not going anywhere. That's unfortunate. It'll be interesting to see where that is and how that happened. But he was the pace sitter all through Thursday practice, and certainly the man we expected to see at the front of this field.
Potentially turn 4 would be my guess there, looking at where that car was positioned. And it could bring out the beautiful Audi R8 safety car for the first time, and there go flags and boards. So safety car deployed here in Adelaide. We saw it out once yesterday. And Yasser Shahin will just have to cool his heels for a moment. The flag is here in Adelaide, doing a fantastic job keeping the competitors and the rest of the officials safe. And yes, turn 4 is the answer. And that's gone in quite heavily if it's broken the right rear.
Did he fall or was he pushed?
Yeah, that's the question right now. It's very bumpy down there. Let's see if we can dissect what's happened to James Kanduris. Oh, he was helped.
Yeah, that's Birambaki. Unfortunately, Bir came together with Steve McLaughlin. I think, was it there yesterday? Was it turn 7?
Turn 7, yeah.
Turn 7 yesterday. Now, it wasn't a deliberate move. It's very tight here. And as Steve McLaughlin said to me last night, he said, look, Sean, the move wasn't really on, but without the experience of the circuit here in Adelaide, he may not have realised it's a closing corner. There isn't really room to go through there too wide. He said, I was offline. I would have put the nose up the inside too, but probably would have backed out. not the experience for Birrenbaki. They made contact. There was no penalty, but it certainly shortened Steve McLaughlin's race a little and forced him to run through from the back of the field. But by the look of the right rear of the Super Barn Audi, I don't think that's going anywhere. That will need to be recovered.
And again, we see one of the favourites for the weekend out and a safety car on track. Yesterday it was Tony Bates. Today it's James Kandouris, and those two drivers have been the quickest in terms of lap time so far this weekend. How nice is the R8 LMS Cup safety car? And we talk about the prize pool that's up for grabs in this championship. Well, there's no greater prize than what is bestowed upon the winner of this championship. After 10 races, whoever's highest on points gets an Audi R8. That is just brilliant. What a great prize.
Well, they may get a second Audi R8 because I know a number of these drivers, certainly the regulars in the Cup, do have Audi R8s tucked away in the garage, amongst other things, Hummers probably included. But
there's only one thing better than owning an Audi R8, and that's owning two Audi R8s.
Well, absolutely.
And the race car as well.
The race car. But certainly that is the prize. And again, the winner of Australia this weekend, the winner of the next event at the Nürburgring circuit in early May, the winner of the two races in China will go to the new Ningbo circuit, which is not far from Shanghai. We also go to Shanghai International Circuit, the home of the Chinese Formula 1 Grand Prix, of course. And we finish the season end of November at Sepang in Malaysia. So 4 winners from those 4 races, or those 4 rounds effectively, or country races, will form the team for Audi Sport Customer Racing Asia, I'm assuming, in the 2019 Nürburgring event.
I think I saw you over there, Sean, earlier, enjoying the off-track entertainment. Plenty to do here at the Adelaide 500 as the officials get out there and pick up the very expensive pieces of carbon fibre that are lying around this Adelaide Parkland circuit. The big winner from this safety car has to be Jingzhou, because he would have been fallen quite a long way off the pack when he got turned around down there at turn 11, and now he gets to catch up and go back to battle in position number 12. So that would have saved him a good 20 seconds of road where he was a long way off the pack.
Important thing is he did get going. Of course, the victory for those 4 drivers will, of course, be the Spa 24-hour race. We will, in fact, be at the Nürburgring 24-hour race as a support category for the second event of this season in May this year. Also,
Race Control confirming that these incidents are to be investigated post-race. So we won't see any drive-through penalties, at least for the incidents that we've seen so far. And I'm pretty sure James is just letting Burrett know exactly how he felt about being stuffed into the fence there. International symbol for I'm not overly impressed.
Yes, it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's a tight circuit. These things happen. How often do we see that? And it looks very much like he's stuck on the circuit, trying not to do too much damage to the circuit nor the car.
Yeah,
but
more
certainly
importantly,
they do need to remove him from the circuit so we can carry on and complete the remaining 10 laps.
The rear wedge, it's like the wing has wedged itself in there at the moment. And they also need to try and repair that fence back together so it's in good working condition. Great work from all our officials down there. Volunteers, some of them as well, to get us back to, hopefully, green flag conditions. Quite a cool day here in Adelaide compared to what we've seen in the past. We've had some absolute, oh man, some scorches in the past would be the word for it, 40 degrees plus, but today just 21 degrees. So for some of our Asian visitors, that'd be almost quite cold, almost jumper weather for someone like Birrenbaki all the way down from Thailand. Yesterday, Andrew Haryanto winning yesterday's race, 30-degree conditions, just about didn't have a bead of sweat on him.
Fresh.
It's from Indonesia, so hot, humid conditions, no problem for him.
I had to laugh earlier when James Kandouris was suggesting that Andrew Haryanto was a champion in his own country. Andrew Haryanto has pointed out a number of times this weekend he's not, in fact, related to former Formula 1 driver Rio Haryanto. And he said, look, I'd probably bring his reputation down. I'm not so sure after the way Andrew Haryanto has driven this weekend, but he is a winner in Lamborghini Super Trofeo in the Middle East in the AM division, and he also did some races in the AM division in the 2017 Blancpain GT Series Asia. So has experience, but it's relatively limited, especially considering drivers like James Kandouris, Mark Sini and Tony Bates around this Adelaide Parkland circuit.
There's a look inside the bunker for Race Control. The Brains Trust behind the event in the middle. It's James Taylor right at the end of the screen, and he has in front of him access to multiple cameras, including closed-circuit television, timing screens, has track maps where he can see where different drivers are on course and can control the field with the safety car when he sees fit.
The grey-haired gentleman just off the middle of the front row, Tony Scott Andrews, who is an FIA steward, and he has officiated a number of Formula One events around the world. He's a regular with the British Touring Cars, has been with the Cup for a number of seasons, so it keeps the consistency in the delivery of rules. And he's found a couple of times during the course of this weekend that the way they've delivered the rules with the Cup over the last 6 seasons, not always necessarily the way things are done in Australia. So it has caused a couple of terse words back up in the steward's office, but it's all about making sure this championship is consistent. The cars are consistent. As you can see, they're all identical. This is Audi's first one-make championship. They did do a TT championship for some of the young stars in Europe in past years, but it's certainly the longest running, the only one-make GT3 specification category in the world at present. So it's all about the brand and all about making sure that all these cars are as even as possible. That's why we have mentors. That's why we have cars that are maintained by service teams like Audi Sport Custom Racing Australia's Melbourne Performance Centre, and certainly the team that have been with them right from the very start. And that, of course, is Absolute Racing, based in Asia. A very big part of the development of the Audi brand in that part of the world. Joe Mader and Fabian Fiore in pit lane, keeping a close eye on their crew. And most of the crew that are here this weekend circle the world with this series and have done for a number of years. So you've got that consistency in repairing the cars, making sure they're prepared. And with Control Pirelli tyres, everything is designed about making sure the experience for the drivers is matched as closely as possible.
Safety car light should be going out this lap, which means safety car will return to pit lane, and then it's up to Yasser Shaheen to get the race going once again. There's unfortunately a few parts of these beautiful Audis strewn around the circuit. James Konduras out of this race as we get set to go back to green flag running. That one down at turn 13, thankfully off the racing line. Here we go, time to get back to green flag conditions here in Adelaide, South Australia. Race 2 of the championship. Shaheen all the way to the exit curb. Foot firmly planted into the bucket as he gets the V10 engine up to revs and up to speed. Down towards the famous centre chicane with the big curbs. He hops across the turn 2 curb with Tony Bates and Andrew Harrianto in close pursuit.
Very different approach from Yasser Shaheen. Under fire now from Tony Bates down turn 4. He's going to take the position away and lead this race as he threatened prior to the start. And he's got back to the front. Of course, the pole sitter from the opening qualifying session yesterday didn't work out so well in race 1, but he's made amends for that and leads this race with about 8 laps to go.
Now, that was premeditated. That was absolutely a plan coming into the restart. He would have been thinking about that, get a good run through the chicane, carry the momentum, and launch one down the inside across the bumps at the entrance to turn 4. It is a great passing opportunity, but you need to be committed. The fans at turn 8 enjoying the action as the Audis whiz by at 200 kilometres per hour.
Again, talking about that restart approach from Yasser Shaheen, he grouped the field up and very slowly came through the final corner and nailed the throttle. In stark contrast to what Andrew Harrianto did yesterday. He said as soon as the lights went out in the safety car, he'd gone. and in the Asian series, they said the rules are you've got to maintain the speed up until you get near the start-finish line.
Here's the move for the lead once again from a long way back, but committed early. There was nothing Shaheen could do about that one. And the bend, Audi R8 is relegated back to second. If you're wondering what the bend is, that's the new circuit that's opening up about 90 minutes away from where we're standing right now. On board with Bates, this is how he pulled that move off. Made his intentions known. Shaheen choosing not to defend. Bates relying on the the ABS, I should say. And gets that one pulled up down there at turn 4. Great move.
I noticed on one of the replays that coming through turn 3, there was a little bit of tyre smoke. It may have been the right front of Burak Birambaki. Of course, he made contact with James Konduras. That was the reason we had the safety car intervention. So whether he has a little bit of damage to the right front, he needs to be careful. The team will be monitoring that. And we'll just see how that one plays out. But certainly, Andrew Harrianto had worked out prior to the restart yesterday what the actual rules were. They're different to the Asian rules that we're used to. He was all across it, and he just hammered as soon as the lights went out in the safety car and disappeared off into the distance. This time, Shaheen took a different approach, and you'd have to say Harrianto's approach was perhaps the more stout option. On board with the race leader, Tony Bates, comes through the final sector of this lap. As we say, he's a multiple race winner here. Was winner of the Australian GT round here 12 months ago. And he knows the right way to get around the Adelaide Parkland circuit, and he really wants to make amends for that off yesterday, the drama he had, own goal by his own admission. So he will be looking to try and take the victory because he wants that Audi R8 road car. He's already told me that. and he wants a seat in the Spa 24-hour race next year. So if it's all over for him from this weekend, you'd expect to see the Australian driver in the Nürburgring round in early May as we fire off rounds 3 and 4 of the 2018 Audi Sport R8 LMS Cup.
Such a violent, bumpy part of the racetrack, Sector 1. You can just see the speed climbing on the dash as well. Over 200 kilometres an hour now. Here comes turn 8, 200. Just about keeping it at 200 clicks through there. Concrete walls either side. You have to be committed. Trust in the technology, and he's didn't pop a shot in the right rear then? Or was that just the cover? Yes, there is. Yasser Shahin. And they'll go side by side, almost a bump and run.
And look who's closing in behind him. It's a three-way battle for the lead.
That was awesome. That gave you a true perspective as to what it's like when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, an attack comes. And now it's on. It's a fight for the lead of this race. Haryanto's involved. Good scrap coming here. Parts falling off these race cars as they say, right, it's the end of the weekend. The gloves are off. Let's go at it.
Theo Kanduris and Birambaki closing in too. The top 5 covered by just 2 seconds that time around. So this is right on. 6 laps remaining. And what a great way to start our first visit to Australia in the Adelaide circuit.
Haryanto going defensive. He had a really slow run down towards turn 4. Just covers the inside line. Big crack of oversteer at the apex. He gathers it back up. He's under fire from Theo Kanduris. And again, the rear tyres, they're crying for mercy as he slips up again. So a couple of street fights here starting to form. One at the front between Bates and Shaheen. Another one between Haryanto and Kanduris. Birambaki out the back of this battle. Good stuff in the Audis.
On board with Haryanto, watching this move up front.
He would have been thinking, come on, boys.
Well, whilst Tony Bates said, I'm going to make amends for what happened in race 1, I think Yasser Shahin wants to make amends for having taken pole position and lost it with the damage on the front of the J-Mac PEM entry as they head into the corner. Just watch this contact, under brakes, bit too deep.
The braking's maximised at that point as well, Sean. You're relying on the ABS to just get the job done. Look at the parts stripping away. And that piece of grille actually came off eventually at turn 14. It stayed there for a few corners. Spectacular action. And Bates holding his nerve, and he's woken up. He just hit the fastest lap of the race. I think that was the kick that he needed. He's definitely come to play now. He said, right, I'm not going to let you do that again. I'm just going to check out of here. Second last lap will go time certain. Birambaki's, oh man, watching this battle unfold ahead with Theo Kanduris and Andrew Haryanto fighting for it. Man, it's happening now between 3 different countries. Indonesia, Australia, Thailand fighting for P3.
Steve McLaughlin behind this lot in the second of the J-Mac PEM entries because he's the J-Mac PEM Racing team boss at Melbourne Performance Centre. Into position 6, Mark Williamson, a good shout out to the CDBS Racers entry. We've not seen much of him. Come out of retirement after not racing since 2011 to be back in the car. He'll be very happy with position number 7. Jeffrey Lee back to position 8. Potentially a penalty as a result of that contact with Sunjing Zhu. Daniel Bilski, the Australian, the former AM Cup and Masters Cup champion, in position 9. Mark Sini, very busy man this weekend, also running in Carrera Cup. This is like event number 20, I think, in his career at the Adelaide circuit, in position number 10.
With the last lap next time by. Haryanto using plenty of the road. I'm not sure if he's defending or he's just trying to get a look at the competition behind him. Theo Kanduris in the middle in the Superbarn Audi and Birambaki chasing them as the race leader again goes quicker. 1:21.4, new lap record. Tony Bates last time by. He is up the ante.
When you consider these are bronze class FIA drivers, yes, they have experience. Yes, Tony Bates is a former winner of Australian GT around here. Has run things like the Development Series, V8 Utes and Carrera Cup. Still, a 1:21.4, Chad, is a very, very impressive lap time. These are very fast cars, full-spec GT3 cars. The early seasons of the Cup were lower generation cars, of course, generation or Series 1 Audi R8 LMS Cup entries, as opposed to this is the Generation 2 car, very much designed with customer racing in mind, but very fast cars. 1:21.4 for Tony Bates, and the bulk of the field is still in the 1:22s.
Shaheen went with him. They both were in the 121s last time by the only two drivers to have turned 21s in race action. The track is quick with the grey skies above. Last lap, last few corners. The Audis putting on a show in Australia for the first time. Still on a turn 9, not the way you want to finish the weekend.
Sun Jingzhou and Daniel Bilski now coming
second hand. Meanwhile, it's Tony Bates who will reign supreme in race number 2. A flash of the headlights, got the job done off the front row. Great scrap with Yasser Shaheen. And Harrianto holds on for third and the round win. So he's booked himself a ticket to Belgium for the 2019 Spa 24-hour race. Congratulations, Andrew Harrianto. And that is very impressive given, I guess you could say, the caliber of the local drivers and the experience of some of the local stars here. Gee, it all happened at the last lap.
Uh-oh.
Oh, big move down the inside.
Oh, dear.
And that was Williamson getting turned around. Now it was a double crash. The encore for the Audis this weekend down at turn 9.
They'd been flawless for, well, 6 sessions, and it all came undone in the last lap of the final laps here in the maiden event for the Cup in Australia.
So it's Bates who gets the win. Cleared out nearly 2 seconds over the local driver, Yasser Shaheen. Andrew Harrianto third for the race, but first for the round. Congratulations to the Indonesian driver. Theo Kondouris beats home Burat Birambakti. Steve McLaughlin went about his business. Drove a clean race to finish in P6. Also, Mark Cassini, we've seen him out in Carrera Cup this weekend. He finishes inside the top 10 ahead of Young Ji. Chen Kong Fu will win the GT4 battle. And unfortunately for James Kondouris, a DNF in the second race of the year.